Big Sean or Eminem? Since the dawn of time, we've always had the great debate, who is the greatest MC of all time? And naturally, Eminem gets thrown into the conversation unless you've been living under a rock and you've been listening to Lil Yachty, who, rest in peace, those careers, thank God, are dead. Mumble rap is over with. But anyways, lyricism will always remain. It will always thrive. And there's always been a conversation around Eminem. And there's always who's going to challenge Eminem. Who's better than Eminem? Who can push Eminem's pen? And who better to answer those questions than the man who saw Eminem's rise, who saw Eminem come from the trenches, who was there with him from the beginning? I'm talking about Royce the 5'9". Now, he recently did an interview with 19 Keys. I highly, highly recommend it, guys. It's a long interview, but there's a point during this interview when he gets asked about Eminem, he gets asked about Big Sean, and I thought, you know what? This is a perfect diving in point, a perfect hip-hop discussion point for the day. So you know what? That's exactly what we're going to check out right now.
But anyway, with Eminem, I had recently tweeted that Big Sean, what did I say exactly? I said Big Sean I think I said he makes better music than Eminem. Mm-hmm. Or I might have said a better artist, I'm not sure. But I put a qualifying statement.
No, you definitely said better artist. Don't flip it because Royce is in the room, and you know Royce is in Eminem's camp. Saying that Big Sean is better than Eminem, you take that statement objectively, right? And you look at that, you're going to interpret it immediately as you're saying he's a better artist. Now, there's a difference, there is, between saying someone is a better artist than saying they make better music, right? Think about like sports. You could be like the best athlete on the team. You could be the best athlete at a sport, but your team never wins a championship because you just don't have the right surrounding pieces. It just doesn't all come together the same way. There's plenty of artists who aren't necessarily the most talented in the world, but they still can put out good songs and good music, right? But the way you frame that discussion, I take it as we're talking about who's the better rapper here. Who's better, technically, right? Big Sean is better than Eminem. That's just a statement. Like, Michael Jordan is better than LeBron James. Don't at me, bro.
No. Mm-hmm. Or I might have said a better
Let's see
artist,
where we go
I'm
with
not
this.
sure. But I put a qualifying statement in the caption that I'm saying in the terms of making music, not rapping, right? Because
all right, okay. As long as you qualified it.
I think with Eminem, the thing is ain't nobody gonna out-rap Eminem, right? Mm-hmm. I look at, you got like Wayne, you got like Eminem, is like, I feel like this generation to look at is like two of the top rappers ever to exist, right? To even imagine being a rapper. And that's based on his skill set, right? But when it comes to music that the culture listen to, you are going to have more recent hits of Big Sean in your head than Eminem, right? But when it comes
to music that the culture listens to, that can, you can interpret that as gatekeeping in a sense, because you hear this a lot. You hear the culture, but who essentially is the culture? Because the culture is not what it used to be 20, 30 years ago. The culture has very much changed. Hip hop is the #1 music genre in the world. It is one of the most powerful genres. There's so much money behind it now, but you have fans literally all over the world from all income levels, all different colors, all different backgrounds who now listen to and bump hip hop. So when are we finally going to have this conversation that maybe we need to reframe what we mean by a listener base and the culture and impact artists have on hip hop? Because for me, this is just an easy route and an easy way to get to, which we'll probably hear, like Eminem doesn't make music for the hood. You know what I'm saying? Like, people in the streets don't ride around and listen to Eminem's music, but the people in the streets and the people in the hood aren't the only people that listen to hip hop anymore. And also, there's plenty of people in the streets that do bump Eminem. Talk to plenty of them myself.
Recent hits of Big Sean in your head than Eminem, right? But when it comes to, and to wrap that point up, because I want to know your thought process on that, but when it comes to being able to house a fan base, I don't think that no other artist has done it as successful as Eminem. Even while Drake maintains his success, Eminem has his community over here that nobody is ciphering from at all. His community may still listen to everybody else, but their loyalty is over here. They're not comparing to say Eminem is now second, he's third, he's fourth, he's fifth. He's just Eminem. Right? So my question is, #1, what have you learned from Eminem, or have you, as far as his ability to maintain that sort of base? Because I feel like that's the basis of how all rappers should build their communities going forward. And then #2, do you think?
I don't know. It's difficult to build that type of connection. I mean, it's an emotional connection that he has with his fans throughout the years. That's not exactly something I feel like every rapper can achieve, because every rapper is different. Every rapper makes different types of music. They have different connections with their fans. And Eminem has a very rare longevity for the game.
Big Sean makes better music than Eminem.
Oh, did he ask that of Royce?
Okay,
There we go.
Let's go to let's go to the beginning of the question.
Yeah.
Eminem's ability to be able to connect.
See, this is what I love about Royce. He is a logical thinker, right? There was a lot to unpack there. Talking about who makes better music, talking about the impact of Eminem. Like he spoke on a lot of things. So Royce, let me compartmentalize this, right? Let me break this down. Let's go back to the beginning and let me just work through this logically. It just kind of goes to show how the wheels turn and kind of how Royce's mind works in an interview. You know, he's very calm, he's very composed, he's very logical. Let's see what he says.
Yeah.
Eminem's ability to be able to connect to his fan base is his ability to be able to do that is so unprecedented. And it all starts, I was there from the beginning. It all starts with somebody being courageous enough to be vulnerable and to be transparent and to tell a story that we hadn't heard yet in hip hop. And be okay with however people feel about it. I think just the fact that he raps so well, and then he told a story that we had never heard before, and he made hit records while doing it. I think it just resonated with people in a way that has transcended from generation to generation to generation. I think now, and nobody's ever done it like that, ever. So
Nobody's ever done it like that. Those are heavy, impactful words from Royce, but what a great way to put it. You know, we did a video like a week or two ago talking about the pillars of MCing and what makes a great MC. And I talked about some of the pillars, you know, storytelling ability being one of them, artistry, wordplay, rhyme schemes, technicals. So all those boxes that we kind of talked about ticking. Eminem fulfills those boxes just as a rapper from a technical perspective, from a skill set. So as Royce has pointed out, he does these things at an incredibly high level. But there's plenty of artists who do it at a high level that can't translate over to making hit radio songs that reach a much wider and larger audience. Eminem has been able to take his skill set while also finding a way to have radio longevity, while also finding a way to make absolute hit smash records. And there's plenty of artists that can make smash hit records that aren't necessarily as good technically, that aren't going to sit here and give you songs that you'll be breaking down 2-3 years from now, catching stuff that you missed. And then on top of that, marketability. Eminem at the time, when he started talking about his mom, started talking about, you know, things like cleaning out my closet, talking about Kim and, you know, fantasizing about killing Kim and throwing her in the trunk and just saying all these wild, outlandish things. It really turned heads in the mainstream, and it was something very different. Obviously, we're so used to Shady. We've had him for many years now, so it's just Eminem being Eminem at this point in time. But you got to take yourself back, kind of on the magic school bus of time, and go back to when Eminem really broke through in the late 90s, and the impact that he had because he was so different. It really sparked a conversation. He was so controversial. He got people talking. So not only does he have the marketability, we can say words today, but on top of the marketability, he had the hit songs that stayed on the charts. And then he had the skill set as well. It was just win, win, win all around.
Now, where we are now and where he is now, and where he is as a man, he's doing just what he wants to do now. He wants to just out-rap people now. He's not necessarily focused on trying to make the biggest hits in the world. You know what I mean?
Because he's done it.
So I think the music that he's making now is just a reflection of that, and I think that the way that he chooses to compete is what brings him fulfillment. And I think that that's what the realm of art is about. It's impossible for him to compete with Big Sean. It's like you're talking about a total different generation. Marshall isn't supposed to be able to resonate. He's not supposed to be able to think the thought that connects to the 17, 18-year-old before something that comes out of Big Sean's mind. Big Sean has his finger on the pulse of current culture in a way that Marshall it would be impossible for him to have his finger on the pulse in the same way. He lives a completely different life. It's been a completely different journey, you know.
I think that's a great point from Royce, is that artistically and career-wise, Big Sean is at a very different point than Eminem is. Eminem's had plenty of hits. He doesn't care about being on top of the charts and the radio anymore. He's got a very different reason for maintaining, for doing what he does. It's like elite athletes as they go on in their career, the ones that win one championship versus the ones that keep training, that keep maintaining that high level, no matter how draining it is and how hard that grind is, because they find something that drives them to go on to win the second, third, fourth, fifth championship. That's much in the same way how Eminem operates. He's had to find something, some sort of drive to keep him going, because just sitting on top of the charts, while great at the time and getting those radio hits, it's fleeting. It's on to the next trend. It's on to whatever's next. Eminem is now concerned about legacy. He's now concerned about the conversation that kids will have a decade from now, 20, 30, 40 years from now, of who the greatest rapper of all time is. And that's what he's trying to do. He's trying to cement his legacy. I think that's a great point from Royce. Like, Sean is here wanting to sit on top of the charts, knows how to make hit records, knows how to get things trending, knows how to talk to the younger generation. But Eminem has plenty of songs in his catalog that can talk to that generation too. It's just, Big Sean needs to be more immersed in the here and now, I would say. I would agree with a lot of what Royce is saying. Some things I would disagree with too, because I feel like Eminem still does a good job of keeping a finger to the pulse. Like, he may not make music that caters to that specific audience, but he's got a good sense of what's going on, what's still relevant online, what's next. Like when he featured Young M.A., when he did his track Rest in Peace to Juice WRLD, when he did it with Corday, like, he shows that he definitely keeps his ear to the streets. He definitely stays on what is upcoming next. He listens to a lot of the next generation. He stays tapped in. He stays tuned in. And he's always giving back to that.
He lives a completely different life. It's been a completely different journey, So,
I seen he said it was Jordan Lucas, Kendrick, and Cole. I think he said is his only competition.
Well,
Didn't Joyner post that?
I didn't see that interview, but I did see that headline. Just based off of me, the conversation that I have with him, we talk about this kind of thing all the time. That's not something that he would really say. You know what I mean? But he
Royce is like, shit, I'm sitting right here. You want to talk about top? I'm sitting right here. Don't keep me out of the conversation.
He's Jordan Lucas post.
That was implied there.
Yeah, but I mean, he speaks very highly of everybody you just said. That's for sure. But
yeah, I mean, obviously, the discussion in this video is going to revolve around Eminem, but I don't want to take away anything from the great artist that is Big Sean. The flows that Big Sean is capable of, the rhyme schemes, like, people think, he just makes like songs for the ladies. He's that type of dude. He's a ladies' man. He's very smooth. He's very suave. But don't sleep on Big Sean's ability as an MC. He's an absolute elite MC, and we've done enough breakdowns of Big Sean on this channel to help show that.
He speaks very highly of everybody you just said. That's for sure. But that's my only competition part. I don't know. I've never heard him say no shit like that. But I know he speaks just as highly as Sean. You know what I mean? Like, he thinks of Sean the same way.
Do you think Big Sean underrated? I think he underrated.
Hell yeah, he's underrated.
Hell yeah. As a lyricist, hell yeah. But I think people can't walk and chew gum at the same time. You know what I mean? And they, I think they associate his brand with, young and commercial. Because he's very marketable. He's a superstar.
Hell yeah.
You know what I mean? But he's a lyrical one. And people aren't used to necessarily seeing that. And he comes from Detroit, and he doesn't rap like the Detroit guy.
It's kind of like Drake, but if Drake actually had more thought process to the bars he makes nowadays. Oops.
As now that are kind of like, they holding the flag right now.
Yeah.
They running the world. The world is biting their style. Sean don't come from that. Sean went to Cass Tech. He vibed off many types of things. He vibed off Eminem. He comes with flows. He's a practitioner rapper. You know what I mean? These guys are hustlers. They're motivators.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
I think
Detroit
that's
got
one.
his own sound.
Yeah, that's one of the things that makes us strong. But Sean, the way that he does it, he was meant to be a superstar. He was meant to be up under somebody like Kanye. Kanye was the perfect person to give him tutelage. You know what I mean?
You know what's interesting? You think about the different regions and what artists have been produced from those regions. I mean, what is it about Detroit that has given us the lyricism of Eminem, that has given us the lyricism of Royce the 5'9", the lyricism of Big Sean? I mean, there's just amazing lyrical rap for whatever reason. I mean, I think sociologists would love to study this and just kind of have a look at this situation, because you look at the factors that lead to the rise of certain trends in certain areas. And for whatever reason, Detroit has just given us some of the greatest MCs of all time. Some of the really, really gifted ones.
Kanye was the perfect person.
And that's not to say there aren't lyrical rappers in other areas. That's what I'm saying about the conditions with which these artists come up and they arise through the ranks, because there's plenty of other very dope lyrical artists in other areas who don't necessarily get the same opportunities or the same shine, because maybe that's not what's trending in their area. That's not what gets pushed. That's not what's played at a lot of the local clubs, a lot of the local DJs put on, the open mics, the events and stuff. So maybe they start to kind of follow what's trending in their area so they can get more play, so they can get seen better.
To give him tutelage, you know what I mean? Who makes better music between him and Eminem? That's super subjective, and that's like one of the fun things about this shit.
That's the fun thing about hip hop, though.
Yeah, it's like
the conversations,
those
and the
conversations,
and arguments around it.
those conversations are fun, and I'm sure that post gave people something to talk about for days and days and days.
Hell yeah.
and days.
That's all I wanted to do anyway.
You know what I mean?
I mean, shit, it's giving me something to talk about right now. Exactly. That's the point. Listen, you love this because we're passionate about it. You know, we spend a lot of time listening to music, to studying it, to bumping it, and it's fun to have these discussions. And I love when I see you guys interacting below and having different back and forths. And I hope it never gets like too nasty or too personal, because remember, music is subjective at the end of the day. Everybody's going to have different opinions, different perspectives on things. And that's a beautiful thing about discussing hip hop, be able to do videos like this and being able to just like live in this headspace in this world and have this appreciation for things. It's always fun to have these debates, man.
You know what I mean? So it's like, the way that they talk about Marshall now is like, you know, nobody listens, nobody in the hood listen to that shit. I think that's funny, because
here it is.
I was around in the beginning. I was right there next to him when he got his first week number. I was right there next to him when he did My Name Is. I was right there. I was at the first show at Tramps. I was on stage with him when the head programmer from MTV came into the dressing room and told him, "You're gonna get tired of seeing your video on MTV." Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, I was there when he dyed his hair. It wasn't a publicity stunt. He was mad at his girl. And then he went in the bathroom and locked himself in there for a long ass time. And I was like, "Man, you all right in there?" And when he came out, his hair was orange. But it was one of his fits of rage. And
That was the Slim Shady birth?
Yeah, that wasn't the birth of Slim Shady, but that was the...
I never, ever knew that. Wow, you know what? I was actually going to end this interview and like wrap up the video, and I'm glad I just let it play a little bit longer, because I've just... What a moment. Like, I always thought that he dyed the hair because it was a way for him to stand out. It was a way for him to embody the Slim Shady persona, to help market that. That's how that was born. No, it was born because he was pissed off at Kim. He was mad at Kim, and he was like, "You know what? Fuck you. I'm going to dye my hair. I don't care how I look." And it's a fit of rage that he did that in. So it was a person. It just makes sense. It's so Eminem, isn't it? Like, even in his music, it's a personal slight that all of a sudden transforms him into this big ego of a superstar, this alter ego of Slim Shady. Wow, Royce just sharing some stories, man. And listen, Royce has been there. Royce has been there from scratch. I know there was a period when he had kind of like a separation from Eminem. There's a lot of D12 in the middle of that, in between them, and obviously they were away from each other, and then they've come back together in more recent years, and I'm glad they have, because I really feel like they push each other's pen, and they're good for each other.
Fits of rage. And
That was the Slim Shady birth?
Yeah, that wasn't the birth of Slim Shady, but that was the birth of the Slim Shady image. When
That's
I met
crazy.
him, he was a kind of fat. You know, he used to wear these little dad hats, like real low, and he used to have these little ugly glasses that he used to wear, and he used to have them down over his nose like that, and he had no style.
Yeah.
All he did was rap. He was a rapping machine, and he was always nice, and he was always nicer than everybody. Always. There never was
y'all back and forth?
What, like on some competitive?
Yeah.
Not anything other than friendly competition.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, man, like when I started hanging around him, and this is contrary to popular belief, like he taught me everything that I know in terms of the technical aspects of lyricism.
Wow.
Like he's the first person to break down to me the concept of syllables and syllable usage and making them connect, making them match and you know, just song
Let's
structure.
go.
Like he taught me so many things, and I don't know how he knew all of this shit.
I'll tell you what, man, this is why we have this channel. This is what I love to talk about. You know, we always talk about internal rhyme schemes, external rhyme schemes, flows, syllabants, consonants, assonants, the way things are set up, internal vowel sounds, how Eminem will just take sounds like Lego pieces and take compound words and line them up so they fit into these intricate rhyme schemes. And you can just see how Royce has taken that and run with it over the years as well. And it's amazing that Eminem is the one who helped to push Royce's pen and helped him to perfect himself. And it just goes to show how much of a student of the game that Eminem is. Like even in the early days when he's like kind of nerdy, like he's always had the talent. And I feel like as time went on, like all of us artists do, you have to give us a chance to find our image, to find our voice, to find ourselves, you know? And it's why like I try not to be too hard on people when they first get started or even, you know, independent artists, especially because it's like you have to give people time to cultivate and find who they are. They might start off sounding like someone else because that's the reference point that they have. We all have to learn. We all have to study. We all have to take it in. We have to digest it. We have to practice it. And we have to try things. We have to experiment. We have to put ourselves out there. And eventually, over time, we start to get more comfortable with ourselves, with who we want to be as artists and what voice we want to push out to the world. And I'm damn glad that Eminem found that. I'm glad that Royce has found that. And man, like if you guys are really interested in this interview, it's 3 hours, but there's so much shit that they talk about through this. Like I was watching all the way up until this point, until we decided to start recording. I'm like, man, I should make a dope video for this. But there's some really good discussions on the game, on hip hop, and the philosophy of Royce, man. He is like a hip hop Socrates. I highly, highly recommend this, guys. I'll put it down in the description in the link below. But anyways, if you're here at the end, listen, do me a huge favor. Support channel directly. Subscribe, notifications on. It goes a long ass way. I really, really appreciate it. Also, Big Sean or Eminem? Or I got a better one. Who would win in a battle? Royce the 5'9" or Eminem? Think that one through before you comment. Anyways, guys, I love you. Stay safe. Stay positive. I'll catch you again.